Hey guys, Boo on the Boo channel here, finally, with another worst to best video, and today it's going to be on the Scientist class, my personal favorite zombie class of all time, and probably one of my most favorite classes between the plants and zombies overall. So, as you can probably tell, this is going to be a big video for me. I really don't want to mess it up, and I really want you to tell you guys all the information I can about the zombie class and the reasons for why I rank the classes in the way I will in a short bit. Now, before we get into it, I just want to apologize that this video could not come out yesterday, as I said I would try to, but there was just no time and I had other things to do, so I just couldn't. But before we begin, I just would like to tell you a little bit of information. The zombie class is melee mainly, and they are also the healers of the team, so that gives those specific scientists more points up for grabs, and also allows me to kill plants easier, just because being a melee fighter is easier in my personal experience. But enough talking about that, let's get into it. Scientist class. Starting us off at number 10 is the zoologist. Now, the zoologist is one of the only two scientists in the entire scientist class that actually uses a fully automatic weapon, which is part of the reason why he's number 10 on this list. And other reasons include he only has 6 ammo in a clip. It used to be 12 really early in the game's launch, but they had to nerf that because why not? And he also does 30 damage per shot, so 6 times 30 is like 180 damage. But just because he's fully automatic, I think that takes away from the whole accurate feature of the scientist, which I feel is really important if you want to play as the scientist class. But besides that, there's not much more I can say about him. I really don't hate any scientist. I just find the zoologist to get the least kills in my game. And yeah, that's about it I can say about him. He also has a snake on his right leg, so that's fun. So coming in at number 9, we have the base variant of the scientist class, the scientist himself. So the scientist actually has a clip of 5. And he also does 75 damage, I believe critical, per hit if you're up close. And that sounds pretty good, but it's hard to explain, but his shots fire like the least frequent, so you have to wait the longest until you can press the trigger again to command one of the shots to fire. The slowest out of all the scientist class. I don't know if you got that, but you have to play as him. He just doesn't shoot as often, and that really affects his playstyle, because with the scientist, I think part of the reason why I think he's so good is because he's like really bam 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 quickly, but for him you have to wait, and I also think that affects accuracy a bit. So, but of course there's still nothing wrong with the scientist class. I just think there are much better ones higher up on this list. So at number 9 we have the scientist. So coming in at number 8 is the space traveling scientist, the astronaut. Now the astronaut is actually the second scientist, the first being the zoologist, to have a fully automatic weapon, which is of course why he's not any higher on this list. But that said, he has a pretty good weapon, 20 ammo in his clip, and each shot does 20 damage, so that's a max of 400 damage if you're up close to your enemy, which pretty much kills everything. But anyway, he also is pretty good at medium range, just because his shots are, he's actually a scientist that's made for medium range, which I believe is pretty cool. And he's actually a favorite of many players and YouTubers that I've seen online. But for myself personally, I just can't take him to like him that much, just because the fully automatic feature, and I believe that lowers his accuracy. But I still think he looks pretty cool, and that's it. So number 8, we have the astronaut. So coming in at number 7 is the archaeologist. Now the archaeologist is, I believe, a straight up upgrade from the astronaut, just because he has a semi-automatic weapon, and even though he has a smaller clip, I believe that the semi-automatic feature allows him to get in more accurate shots and kill the plants more quickly. But now on himself, he actually has the weirdest damage hitbox. At, I believe, at medium and far range, he does 12 to 15 damage, and that is completely randomized every time you shoot. He does 20-something damage at close range, and I didn't even know this existed, that there's actually an extreme close range that he does a weird either 27, 31, 40 something or 51 damage, and it's totally randomized every time. I think the whole point is to make it feel like he has different stuff in his weapons after finding stuff. But anyway, number 7 is the Archaeologist. So coming in at number 6 is the Paleontologist, which is the fire variant of the Scientist class. Now this character, I believe to be a straight up upgrade of the Archaeologist, who was a straight up upgrade of the the Astronaut. But the Paleontologist and the Astronaut I believe to be brothers, just because the amount of damage they do at medium and long range is actually worth going for. So I believe those two are like the long range scientists. But anyway, now more on the Paleontologist. He too has 12 ammo, just like the Archaeologist. I believe he does 12 to 19 damage at long range, which is pretty good for a scientist. 20 to 25 damage at medium range, and I believe 47 damage at close range, and an absolute highest amount of damage at 69 at like extreme close range. So that's pretty good, and that's all I have to say about him. He's pretty good, but there are still scientists better than him. So coming in at number 5 is the Chemist. Now starting from here on out, from 5 to 1, I believe we have a different kind of scientist. Not a really different kind of scientist, but a scientist. All the classes from here on out kind of feel like more like in and out, really up in your face kind of damaging, a heavy damaging kind of scientist. But that's just for me. Anyway, back to the Chemist now. The Chemist is a extremely exaggerated scientist that does 35 damage per hit, and he fires pretty quickly so that you can get some good damage in and kill your enemies very quickly. But unfortunately, he cannot shoot past like 2 feet, so that's pretty bad. And so that's all I have to say about him. He's not bad at all, but I believe he's like the base kind of character for the characters coming out from 4 to 1. So yeah, stay tuned for them in like a second. So coming in at number 4 is the Physicist, the electric variant of the Scientist class. And he has like electrical splurges that go onto different zombies, or different plants, sorry. But basically what it means is greater range of splash damage. So I believe he has 5 or 6 ammo in the clip, and each shot does about 58 damage if you're close up. And I believe the splash damage is about 10 for nearby plants, but the farther away they get, the less damage. But the max splash damage is about 10. But besides that, his shots, the wait time between each one of his shots is pretty short, so you have more time to get in more damage, kill your plants faster. I just believe he's a better version of the Chemist altogether. So at number 4 we have the Physicist. So coming in at number 3 is Dr. Toxic, the poison or the toxic variant of the Scientist class, which basically means an extra 6 damage inflicted upon the enemy plants that you hit. He also has a toxic aura that will hurt the plants if they come too near to him, so that's an extra defense or more damaging system he has. And I believe he has 5 ammo in his clip. That I believe 250 damage total minus the toxic damage. So that's pretty good. And he is pretty much mainly used for killing hordes of plants close up, hence his toxic stuff. And I think he's pretty good, but there are of course only 2 characters that are better than him, and you're about to find out who they are. But at number 3 is Dr. Toxic. So these last 2 were extremely hard to rank just because they're so close to being just as good as the other, but I believe that the one that is number 1 prevailed just a bit. But at number 2 is the Marine Biologist, and almost number 1. But the Marine Biologist is just so good. He does, I believe, 50 damage if upgraded, and he has 7 ammo on his clip if you manage to upgrade. So that's 350 damage if you manage to hit all your enemies perfectly and at close range. And his shots fire so quickly after one another that it's just crazy how much damage you can get in and how many plants you can kill in such a short amount of time. But I believe that there is only one character who is better than the Marine Biologist, and the number one spot is the Computer Scientist, who I believe is an extremely good character. The Computer Scientist is the best scientist, the best zombie, and probably the best character in the game, just because he's so good. When you're in multiplayer, or in any mode for that matter, he does 54 damage critical at close range, and he almost fires as quickly as the Marine Biologist. But to make up for that, not really make up for it, but he also has an insanely fast real time of 0.7 seconds, which is the second fastest real time of all, matched only by the Super Commando. And when you're playing Garden Ops or Boss Hunt, you're most likely going to get into crunch mode very often, just because of the amount of plants you have to kill, which enhances his power and speed to like 70 damage per shot. So that's like 6 or 7 times 7 or 6 or 7. Yes, that's 490 damage in one go round if you have the ammo upgrade for him. And I have him mastered, so yeah. But he's just so good. He's just so good. I've killed so many people with him, but unfortunately he's already mastered, so I'm going to have to stop playing as him as much. But for me, he's the best scientist, and the best zombie, and probably the best character of all in Garden Warfare 2. So that's it, guys. That is me ranking the scientist variants from worst to best. So just to recap, we had Zoologist at number 10, then the Scientist, and the Astronaut, and the Archaeologist, and the Paleontologist. After that, we had the Chemist, and the Physicist, and the Dr. Toxic, and then Marine Biologist, and finally the best was the Computer Scientist. So guys, I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, please consider liking it. Also consider commenting down below your favorite scientist variant. Also consider sharing this video with your friends and any other people you think would enjoy this video. And finally, please consider subscribing to the Blue channel, as there will be new videos either today or tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.